I'm here today on Island Focus with Judith Clark, who is the Executive Director with the Hawaiʻi Youth Services Network. Thank you for joining us, Judith.
I'm delighted to be here.
Like most organizational leaders, you have your hands full. Can you explain a little bit more what the HYSN does and maybe how we can support the efforts of all your organizations?
Well, Hawaiʻi Youth Services Network is a statewide coalition of youth-serving organizations and a Pacific Islands training center. We ourselves generally do not work directly with youth. Our audience is the youth workers and the youth agencies. We help youth agencies develop partnerships and collaborations. We do needs assessment, planning, and public policy development. And we've found that since COVID came, we have been busier than ever because a lot of our work in recent months has been focused around COVID response.
So the role of social services and nonprofits, particularly relating to the needs of youth, are critical at this time of recovery. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Nonprofit youth agencies have had to very quickly pivot and find new and creative ways to continue to provide services and to provide services that meet new and emerging needs. Nonprofits are effectively small businesses that support our economy. We account for about 12% of total jobs in Hawaii. So if we want to improve our economy while at the same time preserving the critical safety net of services for our children and youth, we need to sustain the funding for nonprofits. We can respond much more quickly to changes than government agencies do. And that's going to be critical with the short time period that we have to spend the Federal CARES Act funds and other resources for COVID response and recovery.
And the ability to respond so quickly actually is so critical with our children and youth.
Yes, I mean, their lives have been turned upside down in a moment. You know, everything that they could count on, going to school in the morning, playing with their friends, going to the beach, all of this has changed. And every decision they make, they have to consider the risks to themselves, to their families, to their kapuna.
But what are our children experiencing now, and how are the organizations helping with that?
They're experiencing a lot of trauma. Without any warning, suddenly their schools closed down. They weren't able to socialize with their friends. For smaller children particularly, they worry that, they don't have the sense of proportion. They worry that, what if everybody I know gets COVID and they die? What if I get COVID? I have a friend with a 2-year-old. When COVID came, he had to stop going to preschool. Mm-hmm. He's old enough to miss his friends. He's old enough to miss visiting his grandma, but he's not old enough to understand why this is happening.
Any last thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience, Judith?
Well, we're looking for youth to help us plan and put on the Children and Youth Summit this year. If you would be interested in serving on the planning committee, becoming a speaker at the summit, or facilitating one of the breakout groups, please contact Kira Thompson on our staff. That's Kira at hysn.org.
Thank you so much. We're going to look forward to our youth contributing in very substantive ways in the future. Thank you for joining us, Judith.
Thank you. We need a youth voice in planning during this time. Thank you for this opportunity.
We've just had the opportunity to meet Judith Clark, who's the Executive Director for the Hawaiʻi Youth Services Network. Mahalo for joining us.